welcome Owen to the podcast.
Thank
Can
you.
you tell the listener a bit about who you are and what you do, really?
My name's Owen Gleadall, and I'm the founder of an organisation called Merlin. I started in the industry of leisure, which is where we're working now in visitor attractions, venues and events, back in 95, almost by default. Prior to that, I was involved in the retail sector, and we were supplying systems for multi-channel, multi-branch retailers for quite a number of years. And we won a contract to put systems into Chester Zoo. And we were doing all the new retail systems for the cafe, the bar, the shop, the restaurant, all that. And at a meeting, when we were doing a project and a progress meeting, they said, well, we're putting this fancy retail system in to sell everything from meals to Coke and ice creams. Why can't we sell tickets on it as well? Because it's a retail environment. So I said, well, we know nothing about tickets. So he said, well, we can teach you about tickets if you can build the software. So hey-ho, that's what we did.
Oh, wow.
And we've been doing leisure management systems for visitor attractions now for over 30 years.
Wow, so is that where the business that you're currently working on stems from, kind of thing?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, I didn't realise it had been going all that time. I thought that was the latest endeavour, but yeah, that's cool.
It is the latest endeavour, but it's been going on a while.
Yeah, it stems back, but what, if you kind of you're developing it on
well,
it?
you always develop. I mean, the thing with software is that you always have to be developing for a whole raft of reasons, driven by customer demands, driven by changes in technology, and driven by a need to be growing and innovative.
Yeah, because I suppose the competition is always going to be
Absolutely
developing. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not developing this product and then it's passive income. It's something that's
it's always
active,
developing. And of course, with the advent of social media and technology, and now most recently with AI, we're constantly evolving the systems, the opportunities, the services, the facilities, the performance. Everything is always in a state of flux.
Because I suppose AI is making that market more accessible to more people who might want to be trying to cash in on a similar kind of thing. Is that something that you think is the case, or maybe not?
We've seen a couple of occasions of that where people have thought that they can get into that sector by just telling AI what they want it to build, and AI will build it. And we've all done that over time. We've all thought, well, I can get into that. It's never quite as easy as it seems, and fortunately we haven't had too many issues on that regard. What we're actually finding is people are building better systems using AI, not new competitors coming into the marketplace.
So rather than creating more quantity, it's creating a better quality of product.
I mean, you can create better quality. You can create it much faster, and you can create it in a much more comprehensive way by using a whole raft of different tools that weren't available to us, say, 5 years ago.
Yeah, I've been dabbling with Claude. I don't know. Have you used Claude, that AI tool?
I use Claude personally. But as a company, I mean, we probably use 10 to 15 different AI tools for different things.
Yeah, they're all good at different things.
I mean, we, for example, all our training videos now are built using AI. All our help desk tutorials are built using AI. We're now building a fully integrated reporting pack using AI. Marketing videos are created using AI.
Entirely. Is there even any recording, or is it all the person talking is AI as well?
No, it's AI. We use real images of people, and they're the people that appear on the video. But all the composition and everything is created by AI.
Oh,
yeah.
wow. Yeah, so that, as a business, that saves you a fortune
Oh,
to get
yeah,
them
yeah.
videos produced.
And
for stuff like-
websites. I mean, we create websites now with AI.
Hmm.
And websites that would, a few years ago, have taken us 2 to 3 weeks, we can do in a day.
Yeah, it's just incredible. And you're providing the same value as well.
Absolutely.
So really you can charge the same. It doesn't really...
It's an interesting comment, that,
Yeah.
Cody, because I was at a AI meeting last week in Sheffield, and one of the guys there had been asked by one of his clients to do a landing page for some marketing they were doing. And he used AI to do it, and it took him about an hour. But he quoted the client for 2 days' work. And he said to us in the meeting, should I charge him for an hour or 2 days? And I said, actually, and picking up on your point specifically, it's about value. What value does that client get out of the work you've done for him? And you've done that because you've got the knowledge, the tools and everything else, which is the value that he's paid for.
Exactly.
So I said, never undervalue yourself.
Yeah, never charge on the cost it is to you.
No.
Charge on the value that
the
you
client,
provide to them.
yeah.
Yeah, because really, if you're never gonna get rich, as you say, if you're charging on an hourly rate, because someone's gonna be like, why am I paying him thousands of pounds an hour? Because really, that's what, like, if you're at the top of a business, that's how it equates to. But it's not just each hour; it's every hour that came before that to get the experience to do that role. So,
That's right.
yeah.
I mean, with our ticketing system, for example, the client can build their own platform using all their own graphics and corporate identity and branding and everything. But not all of them have the ability to do that, even within our platform. So they'll come to us and say, well, will you build it for us? Well, yes, we will. And there's a fixed price for building it for them. The fact that what used to take us a couple of weeks now takes us a day is irrelevant. We'll still build them exactly what they've asked for.
Yeah. It's just, I talked about it in a talk I did last week at a networking event, and it's just such an important point. And also, they might see an event. So at one point, oh, you given me this website and you did it this fast, but it's the process of developing them systems. Anyway, we'll get onto
Okay.
get onto the maybe
real stuff,
the business stuff. So from the start, really, because obviously, like we say, it's not just, it is the process to get there, and everything leads to the the butterfly effect kind of thing.
That's
So
right.
yeah, tell us how you got into being your own boss kind of thing, doing your own thing.
I started my first business at 16.
Wow.
And I've always considered myself as an opportunist, and I got that really from my dad, because my dad was in business, and my family, across the family, we were in transport, and I've been in transport for a long time. My father's brother ran lorries, and my dad did coaches and minibuses and cars and things, taxis and stuff. But he was always looking for something else. There was always something that he could find on the horizon that would help and enhance what we were doing. And so I picked up from him that, when times got hard, he would find something else that underpinned what we were doing, but actually added value to what he was able to do as well. And I joined the RAF as a boy entrant at 16, and I went to college to study electronics. And as part of that course, we were only given a small allowance. The rest of the money was kept for us for the end of each semester. You'd have some money to come home with, because obviously being teenagers, you'd spend it all if you got it all. So they used to give us a small amount of money. And I'm going back now to the early 60s, and we used to get 15 shillings every 2 weeks, which in current money is 75p. Actually, we got a lot more for our 15 shillings in 1961 than we do now in 2026, but hey-ho. And one of the things I found was that a lot of boys that I was in with smoked. And even though cigarettes were very, very cheap, and you could buy 20 cigarettes for the equivalent of 5p, they wouldn't last you 2 weeks. Because if you were smoking a packet a day, you didn't have enough shillings in your 15. Plus the fact you had to buy other things. If you wanted to go to the cinema, you had to pay that. We had to clean our own kit, so you had to buy the boot polish and the Blanco and Brasso and all that sort of stuff as well, and dusters. And so what happened was, towards the end of the 2 weeks, those that smoked were getting desperate. And they would go around all the mess rooms and that, collecting the dog ends and make them up into cigarettes. And you could only do that for so long. And so I thought, right, okay, there's an opportunity here, because these guys need cigarettes. I don't smoke. So I invested in 200 cigarettes. I put 10 shillings and I bought 10 packets of 20 cigarettes. And I started by giving out cigarettes to people who were desperate in return for 2 back, which seemed a good idea, except that I ended up with masses of cigarettes and I didn't smoke. And I'm thinking, well, there's no value in this. So I thought, right, what I need to do, instead of giving them cigarettes, then I'll charge them money per cigarette. So as we got closer to the end of the 2 weeks, the cost of the cigarettes went up. And at the end of the 2 weeks, it was 3p, to buy a cigarette off me. But you didn't pay me then. I put it in my little book, and then at the end of each semester, then they would pay off their debts that accumulated during the course of that term. And that worked really well. And at the end of my 2 years, when I graduated, I had enough money to go and buy a car for cash.
Wow. And
that was my first business.
Yeah.
And at 18, I was the only person in my village at 18 that owned a car.
Yeah. It's such a simple model as well. It's almost like it's just having that initiative and willpower at the start to go and make that initial investment, and then really just like balloon from that initial investment.
Well, it's spotting the opportunity, isn't it? You know, I'm a big believer in find a problem and solve it, and that's how you build anything.
Yeah.
Problem
that's what you're doing. You're providing value.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's like these businesses that don't really provide value, that you think, oh, is that a good business kind of thing? But obviously some of them work. But I always think with like people that do like crypto trading and stuff, like, are you really providing value? People make it work, but I think if you underpin your business or what you're doing with value, then that's definitely a good start.
Yeah, and it worked for me.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was the first business. You had success, really. I mean, that's success in business. You got a car out of it at the end.
I did.
I mean, was there any issues with that? Did you have to go around like debt collecting? Were some people a bit of a pain?
Well, interestingly enough, I mean, selling cigarettes is illegal.
Yeah.
You have to have an appropriate license. And you would have thought that within that environment of an RAF station, I mean, it was a college, but an RAF station, that the RAF would frown upon it, but quite the reverse. Because at the end of each term, just before we came home, we would actually have to line up, and then we'd go forward to the paymaster's table and we'd collect our money to take home with us. And the RAF provided me with a little table at the back and a chair and somebody to stand at the side of me. And as they came back from the paymaster's table, they had to pass my table on the way out. And the sergeant at the side of the table made sure that anybody that owed me money paid it before he went out the door.
Yeah, so there were no getting away
so
with it.
The RAF actually policed it for me as well, which was totally wrong.
Yeah.
But the attitude they took was that I'd provided a service to their cadets for the whole of that term, for which a cadet had made an agreement with me to make a payment, and therefore, in the discipline of the services, that payment had to be made.
Yeah. Yeah, well, perfect. And what came after that? So.
Well, after that, I was posted up into the northeast, and then I was posted out to the far east, and I was working out in Malaya. And what I found there was that lots of people had been posted out into the middle of nowhere, and they'd got wives and girlfriends and families back home, and they were struggling to get information back to them. So I thought, right, okay, so what people need then, they need to be able to reflect what they're doing here with the people back home, so people can better understand what life's like in the jungle. So I went out and I bought a whole load of photographic equipment, and I set up a photographic studio.
Oh, wow.
And started taking pictures of people, doing little talks like this, but only on film, not on video. I didn't have any video, but you know, I could photograph them in different uniforms in different situations, and I would then take the camera out with me on sorties, and actually photograph them in a real life military situation, and driving trucks and Land Rovers and all that sort of stuff, and so I was doing all my own photography. I was doing all my own developing, and selling them the pictures, which they then sent back home. And when I came back from the Far East after 3.5 years, I bought another car.
Building up a collection.
Yeah.
Did you still have the last one?
No, I'd sold that one.
Oh,
When I got posted overseas, I sold it. But,
yeah, I suppose, yeah.
so I
Fair
bought
enough.
another one.
Oh, wow, I never knew you were a photographer back in the day. Do you still do any photography?
No. I gave all my photography equipment to my son, actually,
Oh, wow.
because he got quite interested in photography. Looking at some of the stuff I'd done,
Yeah.
it sort of got him a little bit interested in it as a hobby. So I gave him all my equipment.
Oh.
I only did it as a business.
Yeah.
I wasn't
wasn't a
going into
yeah.
photography, and I wasn't really to be perfectly cynical. I wasn't that interested in photography.
Yeah.
It was a means to an end.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I can't say what I'm
It was
doing
no
isn't the
different to the
same.
cigarettes.
Yeah.
I bought cigarettes purely and simply as a means to an end.
Yeah, you didn't have a passion for
I didn't have
cigarettes.
no, not at all.
And then going back on what we said before, you weren't just taking a picture, you were capturing a memory.
Yeah.
That's where the value was.
Yeah.
And then them people that you took the pictures for will probably really cherish them pictures because
Possibly.
they like now they would have just been like faint images in their mind, but they've probably got hopefully still got the physical
Well, hopefully
copy.
some of them may still have the photo albums of their sons and husbands and what have you who were out in the Far East.
Yeah, that's such a valuable thing to have. And then so what came after that? I mean, it's all a big timeline that you've got.
Well, I left the RAF, and I actually joined the family business for a while, which we were building up. My dad was building up a coaching business, and so I joined the coaching business to help him grow and develop that. The problem with my dad really was that he wasn't a pragmatist. Everything had to be just so. So he would take risks, but his risks were always really, really calculated. And he didn't like credit. So he would pay cash for everything. And even when we were buying and selling motor cars, he would have a money belt with a couple of grand in it at a motor auction to buy cars. And we had an opportunity to buy another business. The chap was retiring, who was a good friend of my dad's, and he came to my dad and he said, would you like to buy my business? So my dad said, oh, that would be good. So my dad asked me to have a look and see what was involved. So I went in and I assessed the business, and it was a really, really good business. But we were going to have to raise money to buy the business. And I put a proposal to my dad, and he said, I'm not borrowing money. And it was a lot of money. Admittedly, it was a lot of money. But I'd shown how, we could pay for it over time and all the rest of it. So, and the bank were prepared to fund it on the basis of the equity that was in the business we were buying. So it was all effectively a good business decision, but he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it.
Yeah, he's just... I mean, understanding how to use like debt to your advantage kind of thing is such a. I mean, I noticed a lot of people do it who have like really nice cars, like supercars and stuff. A lot of them don't buy them outright. They buy them, they get a loan on them or something because that's actually financially the best way of doing it. I mean, I don't understand the intricacies of it, but yeah, it actually is the best thing to do a lot of the time. So
we couldn't afford to buy the business for cash.
yeah,
But we could afford to buy the business over time with a bank loan. My dad wouldn't entertain a bank loan, so we fell out. And my feeling was that if he was genuinely looking to build a business, and he said he was for the family and the future and everything, the only way you build a business is by investing in that business. It's a bit like me investing in cigarettes or investing in photographic equipment. You have to invest in the business to make it work. And he wasn't prepared to invest. So we had this humongous row. And effectively I walked out.
Yeah.
And I went back into electronics, which is where I'd come from. And then computing came along. So I went back to college again. And I did a course on computing fundamentals and techniques. And I was working for an organisation that provided services to the armed forces. So I actually went back to school in the RAF. I was a civilian, but I was at an RAF computer school. So I did my second qualification in computing was also through the RAF, but this was indirectly as opposed to directly. And then I moved then into computing. And worked for quite a time for a whole range of different businesses. I got involved initially in developing radar plot extraction systems.
Oh, wow, very complex.
And then I got involved in converting the typesetting from a hot metal bed into phototypesetting. We developed all the first phototypesetting systems. And then from there, I got involved in developing barcode scanning systems for initially wholesale and then for retail. Yeah. And I worked with people like Sainsbury's and Morrison's and Hillard's before it became Tesco's and people like that. But in what you now see as the modern system, we were the first people to put in the conveyor belt with the laser scanner at the end and the barcoding and all that sort of stuff.
So you were pioneer in developing those systems. Yeah. Oh, wow. And then... Yeah, I mean, what did they do before that? Did they just have to type in the price of like everything that came through? Yeah. Oh wow. And
of course, the issue with that is it was product related in the sense it had a price, but it wasn't product related in the fact of what is it I've just sold. So the fact that you've just sold a packet of biscuits at £1 doesn't tell you that you're now down one packet of biscuits. It tells you you've made £1 or you've taken £1.
Oh, so it was like the stocking as well.
You couldn't do stock control, you couldn't do price control, you couldn't do management controls at all. So we integrated the barcode scanning into
a big system, not just price. Yeah.
I mean, we did it in wholesale to start with, and the reason we did it the reason wholesale were the first ones. Because the profit margins in wholesale were very, very small. We were talking 0.5% net profit. So everything had to be really tight. And people were stealing from the large wholesalers. Because you'd go around with a trolley and then you'd put on a box of something on one side. You'd put your trolley out through the end and then you'd pick the box up and put it in the back of your car and all of that. So we integrated a completely new system where you turned up with a trolley, we scanned everything on this trolley, put it on that trolley, and then you wheeled that trolley out, and everything was fully controlled.
Yeah, and then that was me. So people who owned like other shops would be stealing? You'd think they'd have more empathy to...
Yeah. No, they were stealing.
Yeah, you think they'd
they
experienced it themselves and understand. Yeah.
And then what happened then was, with that level of control over stock and pricing and everything else, the retail chains latched onto it and thought, well, we can use that technology in our stores because we can control pricing, we can control quantities, we control stock replenishment, we can even control stock holding because we only carry stock that we need to sell or not. So that was adopted then as is now by everybody.
Yeah. So was that you working as an employee for another company when you were doing that?
I was working for another company doing that.
Yeah. I've heard about there's like the next iteration of that coming, where you know them like NFC tags, where rather than scanning everything, it can detect. What is it? They've introduced it at like some clothes shops now, like Zara. They've got it, and rather than scanning, you just like put it in the bucket thing and then it like knows what's there. Yeah.
Used to do all the systems for Zara many years ago.
Yeah. What kind of systems?
Retail management systems, barcode scanning and everything. We put their very first systems in back in the, what would it be, late 80s probably.
Yeah, and they're part of that bigger group as well. What was it, Inditex group? Did you manage to get involved with any of the others?
No, that was long before that.
Before. What were they? Were they their own company back then?
Zara had their own retail outlets.
Right, and then they were. All right, and then what came after that? So.
Well,
I
left the corporate world and decided I wanted to go off on my own. I was actually working for a guy who was not the easiest person to get on with, shall we say, and he didn't value technology. He needed it to develop the systems that the company needed to sell to the people, but he didn't value it. So myself and my team had no real value in the company. It was all about selling and all about building relationships and about marketing and all that. The people doing the work were somewhere down there who didn't really count. And when we developed these systems and we'd got Morrison's on board, we'd got Hillard's on board, and we were presenting to Sainsbury's, and Sainsbury's were coming in to see us this particular day, and we were going to do a presentation to Sainsbury's. Anyway, something happened, and Sainsbury's couldn't come. So, but we'd got the buffet and everything ready for them coming and all that sort of stuff, and all the stuff was laid out in the dem room and everything. And so we got a phone call from his secretary to say that, you know, the stuff that's in the presentation suite, if your guys want a free lunch, they can go and get whatever they want because Sainsbury's aren't coming and it'll just go to waste. So I went into the workshop and I said to my guys, if you want, you know, rather than go down the chip shop or whatever today, you can go in the presentation suite and there's a buffet in there, just go and get what you want. So they did. and I followed them up there. But there were some people in there that come in from the different regions I'd not seen for ages. So I was stood in there with my paper plate of buffet, the chicken leg and the sort of stuff. And in one hand and a glass of red wine in the other hand, and my boss came in, and he was a very outspoken American, and he looked at me and he said, "And what the beep are you doing in here?" So I said, Maureen, his secretary, had rung up and said this food was just going to go to waste and we could have some, and he said to me, he said, "This is for the important people in the company, not you people." So I said, "Well, Maureen said it was okay to come and get some." He said, "Well, I say it's not." And with that, he knocked the plate out of my hand.
Gosh, yeah.
So I said to him, I said, can I not have that then? He said, "No, you can't." He said, "F off." So I got a glass of red wine in this hand. So I said, "Well, if I can't have the food, I don't want the wine." And I threw the wine right over him. So
fair enough, it deserved it.
Needless to say, that was my resignation letter.
Yeah. Well, was it a resignation or was it you that made the decision or him? Yeah.
So I soaked him in red wine. So then that
well, you ended in
me and him finished, and so I went off then to develop my own things. I decided that I just couldn't work for people. I came to the conclusion I was unemployable. I wanted more than people were capable of giving me. So.
Yeah, because I get the feeling like I I was a pot washer when I was like 15, and then I worked at that plant nursery. Like, it's just horrible work, and I was like, I'm never working for anyone again. Like, I just want to do my own thing now. So yeah, I've just been doing because I don't know, it's that thing about when people they set the price, they set your pay and like tell you what to do and seen as like superior, and I'd just rather be my own boss.
Well, the thing, going back to the opportunities again, when I was working for them, we were working with tier 1 retailers, the big boys. But below that level, the Zaras of this world, which you've already mentioned, they had to compete with the big boys, but they didn't have the technology. They didn't have the financial muscle to be able to buy into that technology at the time, because it was expensive stuff running on mainframe computers and all the rest of the stuff. And it was just at the time when IBM brought out the IBM PC. And I thought, wow, that's an opportunity, because now we've got a desktop computer that we can put into much smaller businesses. The mistake I made was that the very early IBM PCs were rubbish. But at least they set it something moving. It's a bit like technology. You know, the first ones are never that good, are they?
Yeah, you never buy the first iteration,
no,
but you keep an eye on it.
But then gradually, and then over the next 2 or 3 years, the market obviously grew and developed, and technology got better, and the systems came out that were better. So in that interim period, we were developing software that would do what our software did for the Marks and Spencers and Sainsbury's of this world, but at the lower level down, the multi-channel, multi-branch retailers. So we then went into that industry and started selling out to all the tier 2 retailers.
Yeah.
Initially, we got involved in some of the food and beverage people, the supermarkets and convenience stores, but that was a really cutthroat world. It was all built on price. The first question they ever asked you was, how much is it?
Yeah.
And you were always struggling, because you're constantly having to justify the price, not the value. Going back to our comment about value. Nothing to do with value. It was all about how much is it? How much is it? And if you were a pound dearer than somebody else, then the fact that you did 10 times more than they did, it was about price. So nobody in that marketplace appreciated the value. So we concentrated on non-food, where the profit margins, to be fair, were higher, and the level of sophistication was better, and people understood the market better. So I developed retail systems then for that marketplace. And then going back to my original comments about Chester Zoo, that's how we got from retail into ticketing.
And this was you as yourself at this point?
It was my business.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. So you're the one pushing the boundary and deciding what the next move is, kind of thing. Yeah. How did the PC integrate into like the cash machine or whatever it was?
Well, we had the PC, which was a huge box, and personal computer was an anachronism, really.
A generous term.
In the sense that, you know, you're looking at this huge box, and it took up a lot of space on the counter in a small shop. So what myself and a colleague decided to do, I mean, my background was in electronics and computing. He was a mechanical engineer, or is a mechanical engineer, and between us we actually built a small independent retail terminal that would fit on a counter, sitting on top of a cash drawer, with a barcode scanner and a little receipt printer, all in a nice little package, and we developed that.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's innovation. Did you get like a patent on it or anything?
We didn't. Difficult to get patents because the concept was unique, but the components weren't.
Yeah, and maybe it's too broad of a thing to patent.
So I mean, we were buying in the the circuit boards, we're having them made. Initially, we used to have them made over in Chester, and then we eventually moved production out to the Far East, where it was a lot more going back to price competitive.
Yeah.
So we designed and built the unit, but then we fitted it with the various components inside. So patenting it was quite difficult to do.
Yeah.
But I mean, we trademarked it, and we sold it as a product called SuperServe. So we had our own brand effectively, and it was interesting because we sold it not only to our own retail customers, but we sold it to a lot of our competitors as well, because it was the only terminal that would actually do what everybody wanted.
Yeah, was it the first like all-in-one system kind of thing?
Yeah.
And then how did the print receipts before then? Like,
well, they had to have a big printer standing at the side.
all right, and then type it all in manually.
And it would produce a receipt on a slow, clunky old printer, and barcoding wasn't really that prevalent either. Yeah. So we integrated barcoding into it.
Oh, wow. That must have saved. So did supermarkets start using that as well then?
Well, they did, but we pulled out of the convenience store market because, as I say, it was just too cutthroat, too price competitive.
A lot easier to sell to people with money than people without money,
exactly.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you're making, well, I mean, on cigarettes they were making less than 5% profit. So if you're making between 5 and 10% profit on food, and somebody's selling clothing and non-food and making 70%, then that's a better market.
Yeah, definitely. And there's no point like struggling through it. You might as well just.
So we came out.
Yeah, people that do like videography, similar stuff to me, and they're like, "Oh, I make music videos," and I'm like, "But like, do all these emerging bands have any money at all? Like, they don't. Just like target, like maybe you can do music videos as a passion project, like when you've got some spare cash, but like, you're just making your life.
But it came to a head once. I always remember. I went to meet a group of convenience store holders. I'm not sure, there were 7 or 8 of them, and they all wanted. They set up a little buying group. So they wanted a system that would manage each of their own stores, but also have centralised buying, which our system obviously did because it was multi-branch. And I went to see them, and I had this meeting with them, and it was over in Lancashire, and I went over to see them and did a presentation. And one of the guys said to me, he said, "Can I ask a question?" I said, "Yeah, go on." He said, "How do I fiddle the VAT?" I said, "Pardon?" He said, "Well," he said, "I don't put everything through my system." He said, "Because I keep some back for my holidays." So I said, "You can't fiddle the VAT on this because everything is being recorded and it's being accredited." I said, "It's been audited by HMRC, so we've got a certificate of compliance. So we have to deal with the VAT correctly, otherwise we lose our certificate of compliance." He said, "Oh, well," he said, "could we not have like a training mode or something where we could switch it into training mode and not put all the transactions through?" So I said, "Yes, it does have a training mode, but HMRC also know it has a training mode. So when they come to audit it, they know exactly how to look at the life company and the training company as well. So whatever you hide in there is not hidden because they'll find it." And I said, "There's 2 issues here." I said, "VAT fraud is a criminal offence and you can go to prison. And I'm not going to prison."
Yeah.
So it's as simple as that. So they said, "Well, the system's no good to us if we can't fiddle the VAT." So I came back from there and I was talking to my colleagues and I said, "Look," I said, this market is just, it's ridiculous. We don't want to be in this market. We're never going to grow in this market.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be coming down to these base levels. How much is it? Can we fiddle the VAT? All these things, we're going to be arguing against that. They don't see the value in what you're providing. What they want to see is some way of fiddling something.
Yeah.
I said, let's go and
Squeezing
sell.
every last penny
Yeah.
into their pocket.
Let's go and sell to a market that appreciates the value and forget all about them. So we did.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's this thing on social media, like almost like a meme, if you know, and people say like the cheap client is always in the videography market and stuff. He's always asking for revisions and tweaks and nitpicking, and then the really expensive big client just asks for the invoice. Like it's the bigger clients are actually easier to work with as well.
Much easier.
Yeah, because it's not. Usually it's not their personal money, or it's the big company or whatever.
Well, you see, we targeted the people like Zara, and we had Zara, we had Antler Luggage, and these were people with over 100 stores. So they weren't nitpicking on price. What they wanted to know is, how will you manage my business to make it more profitable? That's what they wanted to know.
Yeah.
And in doing that, how long is it going to take us to repay what it's going to cost us? And I always remember we did some work when we got into the leisure industry. We did some work with the Heritage Railway, and we put the system in, and we were managing the system, and we got involved in doing gift aid for them. And one day the general manager rang me. And he said, "Great news." I said, "Okay, what's the news then, Stephen?" He said, "We've now paid for the system." I said, "Really?" I said, "I thought you'd paid for it before." No. He said, "I'm not paying you, paying us back."
Yeah.
I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "In the money that we've earned and saved in running your system in 40 running days, it's paid for itself."
That's almost permission for you to up your prices, kind of thing. Yeah.
So I said, "Well, that's great news." I said, "Can I use that as a
testimonial
quote?"
kind of thing.
Yeah. He said, "Oh, yeah, definitely."
Yeah. I mean, I always look at that when I'm buying equipment. I'm always like, oh, how long does it took me to earn it back? And I always give myself like almost permission to dabble elsewhere once I've earned back my expenses. So yeah, I see the mindset that it looks at it from. Well, how did it help them earn more money, kind of thing?
Well, we put gift aid in. And the way gift aid works is, as a charity, Heritage, then you can claim gift aid on the value of donations made to the charity. So when you go on to a castle or anywhere that's a heritage property, we can convert the cost of your admission into a donation. And then we can claim 25% extra tax on that donation. So you make a donation in lieu of admission, and you get free admission by making a donation to the value of the admission.
Ah, right. Is that why? Yeah, when you go to some places, it's like a donation, but it's like a minimum donation or something like. Yeah.
The government keep changing the rules on it.
Yeah.
You could do it on day admissions at one time, and then they changed the rules. So you now have to sell effectively a membership. So you can have and your membership classes as the donation. So we just literally convert the admission into a membership and do it that way.
Ah. Oh wow! Do you still work with clients like that?
Oh,
or?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, we were the first people to do gift aid in admissions back in 92. We were the first people to do gift aid on admissions.
Yeah, I mean,
and it was funny actually because one of our first clients was Chatsworth House. And Chatsworth House were doing gift aid, but on physical donations. So you filled a bit of paper in, and you agreed to make a donation. You stuck it in a box, and then they claimed it. And it was very, very hit and miss. And we went in there, did a presentation. I always remember at the presentation, the Dowager Duchess was actually in the presentation, which was quite formidable, really.
Yeah.
But and afterwards, she said to me, she said, I need to know more about this. So I actually sat and had tea with the Duchess. And she said, well, tell me how it's going to work. So I told her how it was going to work. And she said, how much am I going to get out of it? So I said, well, if you can give me your visitor numbers and some feel for UK and foreign visitors, then I can work out a rough guide as to what I think it's going to be worth to you. So they gave me a list of visitors, what they thought were their visitor numbers. It was a load of rubbish, really. But anyway, they gave me this list, and I worked out that on their data, they could earn 80,000 a year on gift aid. And she said, well, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Because it's free money, you see, it's just money back from the government. So she said, well, would you guarantee that? So I said, no. I said, we don't guarantee that. I said, but what I will say is that if the system hasn't paid for itself with the savings and the money earned in the next 12 months, then I'll give you your money back.
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay. So anyway, we put it in October 92, and then they did a gift aid claim in December 93, so that was like, 14 months, for £402,000.
Oh, wow. You should have done it as like a revenue share or something.
I know.
You should have said, oh, I'll take half of it.
So I got another, well, we all got tea with the Duchess. She invited the whole company down for tea.
Yeah. So did they just like really underestimate the numbers or something?
Oh yeah, the visitor numbers were just nonsense.
Yeah.
They didn't have any real system for doing it. I think it was all, finger in the air stuff.
I suppose there won't have been like tracking, there won't have been the ticketing system then that they probably have now.
No.
And then do you even have to get a ticket to go around like the gardens and stuff? Or
Yeah.
in the... All right, yeah. So I suppose now they'll have it all tracked.
So there were 3 tickets. There was a house, the gardens, and the farm. You could get house and gardens, house and farm, whatever.
Yeah.
And so we did all that for them. And then, of course, nobody else had that system. So we went out selling it to all heritage properties, basically. And then the next thing we did on gift aid was we put gift aid into charity shops. So you could claim gift aid back on the value of donated goods when sold. And we were the first people to do that as well.
Wow. I mean, it's a proven concept at that point. It's just getting everyone. I mean, and charities ordinarily would be a really hard market to profit from, but I mean, you were providing them with a lot of value. So.
25%.
Yeah. On
everything you sell.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wild. The government were probably like, oh my God, what have we got into with this? This guy's milking us.
They made it quite difficult for charity shops because they changed the rules. Because on admissions, it was quite simple. Because you're standing in front of the counter, you want to buy a ticket to go in with either yourself, your family, your friends, whatever. And I can say to you, are you a UK taxpayer? You can say yes. Are you prepared to sign a gift aid declaration that you are a UK taxpayer? Oh, yeah. Well, if you do that, then I can claim 25% of the cost of your admission. Fine. I could do that contract there and then. With charity shops, it works differently because you go to a charity shop with a bag of Auntie Ethel's stuff that you've just cleared out of her bungalow and you donate it to the charity shop. They grade it, classify it, put price labels on it, and they sell it. So until it's sold, it has no value. However, when it's sold, I still have to get from you the fact that you're happy for me to have sold those goods on your behalf. So I have to contact you, thank you for the donation, and you have the opportunity to get that money back.
Right. What, the person who donated it?
Yes.
Ah. What if they sign the declaration thing?
Well, because you can sign a declaration that that you are a gift aid, that you are a UK taxpayer and eligible for gift aid. But at that moment in time, there is no quantifiable amount on the value of your donation.
Yeah, it could just be a little tap for all I know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It goes in the back room and it all ends up in the bin going off to landfill.
Yeah.
So until it goes on the shelf and until it's actually sold. So what we had to do, we came up with a system where we identified the donor with a unique barcode. So every donor had a unique barcode. So when you went in, we created a donor account, created a barcode, and we put barcode labels on all your products. And then when it was sold, it scans that barcode and it says, oh, this has been donated by Mr. Mellor, and we put it on his account. And at the end of that period, we can then claim the gift aid on the value of the goods we've sold on your behalf.
Oh, wow. Well, yeah, it's just... So did you just come up with that? It's so... Yeah. You are an inventor kind of thing, like just coming up with these. And you've probably generated an app, like, I don't know, do you have an idea of how much you've generated for charities, like, by doing this? Probably like the biggest contributor to charities in the country with this system. So, yeah.
But we were the first people to put it into retail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. And then what was the next iteration of this system then?
Well, one of the things we did along the line was we were supplying systems for retail, and we were supplying systems in Saudi Arabia to the Big Boy burger chain. And the Big Boy burger chain was a drive-in burger group, a bit like McDonald's. It was McDonald's with a B instead of an M, really. Everything about it was McDonald's, but there was a B for Big Boy as opposed to McDonald's. But you drove in, or they drove in, and there was a squawky box. So they would give their order to the squawky box, and that would go through to the kitchen. The people in the kitchen would make the order. They drove round, picked the order up, and then off they went. And the problem was that they would drive up in their big cars and they would speak into the squawky box in a combination of Arabic and English and whatever. And that would then be interpreted by the people in the kitchen who were listening to it, who were from a variety of different countries, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, whose command of Arabic was nil, whose command of English was bleh. And so what was happening was that about 70% of the orders were correct, which meant there was a line of cars waiting for their orders to be redone for them. So we were at an exhibition actually in Germany, in Hanover, and we were approached by this company, and we were demonstrating our systems to them, and we'd created a unique programmable keyboard so that it had got touch keys, and it had a film over the top, so you could program the key to be whatever you wanted it to be. So you could have a burger, a cheeseburger, a plain burger, whatever you wanted, so you could reprogram the keys. And they really liked that, because they said, well, we could have that on a stand, and then they can just press the keys. So we put that system in for them. But however, the problem was that they had 3 menus. They had a breakfast menu, a lunch menu, and a dinner menu, which meant that the keyboards had to be reprogrammed 3 times a day, which you could do. You could do that electronically, but you couldn't change the overlay.
Yeah.
You had to go out with a new overlay and slide it in. So they came back to us and said, the system's working really, really well, and we're getting 90+% of the correct orders. But the management of it, we're having to, put this effort into manage it all the time, and reprogram the keyboards, and so we've got to take the restaurant down effectively for 20 minutes while we reprogram the keyboards and put the new things in, and it's not practically, it's good, but it's not exactly what we want. So we had a meeting with them, And the obvious thing to do was to be able to have it on a screen and be able to select it on a screen. And touchscreens really weren't around then. So we designed and built a touchscreen. It wasn't a touchscreen actually. It looked like it, but it was a screen. And then in front of the screen was a bezel, and the bezel had ultraviolet rays going across.
Yeah.
So that when your finger went in, it broke the ray.
Like an XY coordinate of where your finger was.
So the software said, oh, I know where that is. And behind that is the burger or whatever.
Yeah.
So at that coordinate in the database is a cheeseburger, is a hot dog, is a sausage, whatever.
Yeah.
And we designed and built that for them and marketed that. And it worked. That worked really well because everything then was instant. They could change the menus in a second.
And was it accurate? It worked.
Oh yeah.
It worked how you wanted it to. Wow.
Yeah. The biggest problem we had was that the screens, the LCD screens, were quite small. 10.4 inch was the biggest you could get then. They were building bigger screens, but the technology was still not right. And it worked for them because they got limited menus. But when we tried to sell it here in this country, the people said the screens aren't big enough, and yet we all walk around now, don't we, with iPads, which are 10-inch screens. But the touchscreen technology wasn't good enough. The registration was poor. The technology that they were using then was LCD, liquid crystal display. Well, Philips in the Netherlands were developing new technologies, but it was really difficult to make. It was a multi-layer process, and they hadn't cracked the manufacturing. But I always remember I did a presentation at Boots to sell them the touch screens for their businesses, and we got talking to them, and the guy said, well, but it's only a 10-inch screen, that's no good to anybody. So I said, well, it won't be long before you'll have screens the size of that wall. Oh, that's ridiculous. I said, no, it's not. I said, the technology is coming. They just haven't cracked the manufacturing process. The technology to do it is there. They just can't make them yet. The manufacturing processes are flawed. So they're getting black spots still on the screens. I said, but they'll crack that. And when they've cracked that, then they can go as big as... There's no limit to how big they can go.
Yeah, like at festivals now.
Yeah, there's no limit. They can go as big as you want. So the guy turned to me and he said, you will realise, he said, that there's no market for touchscreens in retail. I said, really?
The most wrong line anyone could have ever said.
So we couldn't sell it. And nobody in this country wanted to buy it at all. And it's interesting, going back to your comment about did you take a percentage. We had an approach from Olivetti to buy the technology from us, and we negotiated with them on the technology, and they wanted to create their own touchscreen terminal called the OliTouch, which they were going to sell worldwide throughout all of their regional offices. And a friend of mine who I was talking to about the deal, he said, well, don't take a bag of cash. I said, oh, why's that? He said, well, I did that. He said, a few years ago, he said, I got a really big job and I priced it up and I won it. He said, but then afterwards, the work I'd done for them just went ballistic. He was the guy that created Asda.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then they got bought by Walmart, and the value and he took a bag of money when he created Asda.
He should have kept a share in the company or something.
So he said, get a share. So we did a deal with Olivetti. We did a deal with them, 1/4% for every terminal sold. So no money up front, but 1/4%. And we did a deal, we signed the contract, we sold them the technology. And then 3 months later, Olivetti went bust.
Oh. would have been good to do a combination
So
of
we
the
got
two.
nothing.
So you got 0. And then could you just go off and keep on selling them as you were, seeing as they were?
Well, we could have done, but I mean, we'd already incurred costs of about 400k in the development of this product.
Yeah.
With no market,
Yeah.
because nobody wanted to buy it, so we had to write it off.
Oh God. Yeah, that's hard to bounce back from.
Yeah, that was hard.
So that was the
hard.
company. That company gone. Pretty
Very
much.
close. Very
right,
close. Yeah, very close.
Did you? So what you're doing now, is that a different company, or did you manage to pull through and develop?
No, it's a different company.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different company.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what lessons did you learn from that kind of thing? Because it's a horrible thing, but you've got to take from it anything that you can.
The thing I learned from it was, and it goes back to my mantra of problem seeking, problem solving. I solved a problem that existed in a particular market. The market I wanted to sell it into wasn't ready for it yet. So never make something that nobody wants. Wait until the problem occurs, then deliver it.
Yeah, maybe you were almost
Too early.
you were selling outside of the market, or maybe you were almost inventing a problem. Well, I mean, it was a problem in that market, but not in that market.
We identified a problem which people we presented to didn't think was a problem.
But you knew it was. You knew it could
But
be.
we knew coming down the line,
Yeah.
the advantages coming down the line were astronomical, as we now all know, where everything's touchscreen now. And you know, without it, we could not manage anymore without touchscreens. I mean, with the early phones had got keyboards on them, the Blackberries and things like that, and you know, people couldn't use them, and then touchscreens came, and with multiple screens and all the rest of it. Now we had that facility back in 1994.
Yeah. Yeah, people just didn't know yet how much it could help them. Maybe they didn't understand the value.
I don't think they understood the technology. They didn't realise what was happening in the industry, and we knew the new technology was coming down the line. And once they'd sorted out the manufacturing capabilities, we knew that they would solve that problem, and then it would just boom. And as a technician, I knew that, but as non-technical people, I could not convince them that was the case.
Yeah, they were struggling to see the future.
I mean, if you'd have talked to people about AI 5 years ago, they'd have laughed at you.
Exactly, yeah. And even when ChatGPT first came out, I thought it was amazing, the best thing ever. And then when I switched to Claude, I was like, this Claude makes ChatGPT look rubbish. You can't see what you don't have.
No, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was. You still working in? You still got clients in like the cash register.
Oh yeah, we've still got clients. We've still got retail clients. We've got visitor attraction clients. We've got event clients. We've got a whole range of different people. We've still got charity shops, but yeah.
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 Oh well, at least that bit's still going, kind of thing.
So the thing is with business, I get a big kick out of innovation, and I'm always looking to find the next problem that needs a solution. And the sales and marketing people hate me because I'm wanting to be off over there, and they're wanting to concentrate on this, and the two are not that synonymous sometimes, really. But
yeah, they're kind of wanting to focus on what you've got, and you're wanting to look everywhere.
Look everywhere else. Yeah.
So, I mean, is there anything else that comes between what you're doing now and that? Or is the next step on what you're working on now?
Well, I mean, at the moment, we've got the new ticketing platform, where we're now competing directly with Eventbrite, for example, where we offer a completely different service to Eventbrite, in a completely different way. the problem we've got with that is the technology is brilliant. The system offers a lot more benefits, but we don't have the marketing budget of Eventbrite.
Yeah, they dominate the market.
And I mean, they're a multi-billion-dollar corporation.
Yeah, are they their own thing, or are they owned by another company?
No, I mean, it was a husband and wife that started it.
Yeah.
But now they're on the New York Stock Exchange, so they're controlled by investors.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a nightmare for them, really, because they're constantly looking at changing the model, and that's the problem when investors come in.
Yeah, they just want like short-term money kind of thing rather
yeah.
than a long-term vision for growing. Well, obviously.
I mean, they're looking at shareholder value, obviously,
exactly,
because that's what they're in it for.
Yeah. Yeah, rather than the problem that they're solving in the long term.
And it was something that, and perhaps that's been a a restriction, because it was something that I was very conscious of bringing people in and going back to what we've been talking about, people who don't understand the technology, bringing people in, the money men who didn't understand the technology, and I just had that feeling that we could be at loggerheads possibly, with me being that focused and them being that focused, and the two not being synonymous.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're just.
But
maybe some of the investments they wouldn't be a fan of and stuff like that.
We'd have got a lot further with investment. But once again, you think to yourself, well, okay, I've got a cake. It's my cake. Do I want a slice of cake on a bigger cake, or do I want the whole cake?
Yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it?
It is.
You just don't know what the outcome's going to be unless you try.
No.
Yeah, there's that thing in investing where it's like when you're younger, you take more risks with your investments, and then as you get older, you invest in more safe stuff like maybe gold or something, I guess.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you get to a point in life where at some stage in your life you've got to settle down, haven't you?
Yeah.
You know, and I've got to an age now where, you know, people, my own family, in fact, keeps saying, well, look, give it up, you know, stop. It's time you stopped. And it's difficult because it's got me out of bed every morning for the last Humpty Fump years. Yeah. And it still gets me out of bed with a challenge. And I'm constantly looking and seeing what's available. I mean, at the moment, I'm involved in a whole load of techie groups around Yorkshire, looking at technology development and all that, and I'm a member of AI groups and all that sort of stuff, where we're already looking at the next iteration and what we can and can't do. I mean, I was working with a small group on Thursday night in Sheffield, and I was showing them how to make videos, and
these AI videos.
Yeah, and we made a video. This guy wanted to promote a particular situation, and we developed a video in 20 minutes for him to promote this course that was coming up.
Oh wow! What model do you use for developing?
We used Arena.ai for that.
All right, I'll have to look into that. Yeah, I suppose I could tie that into my business as like one of my services.
Yeah.
Because rather than me thinking, oh, these videos are going to like take my business away, you can just profit off them, kind of thing, take advantage. Yeah. You've got to be on the right side of it. There's so many people that are victims to AI, but anyone that's a victim to AI they just don't have the right mindset. They need to be looking at how it can help them. Like obviously there are people, it is going to be a big shift in the job market, but if you use it to your advantage, like accountants and stuff, and you know, there's so many industries that it's going to change. But yeah,
I mean, things have changed over the years. I mean, I've been involved in innovation in a raft of different areas. I mean, going right back to radar air traffic control systems, when we were using the old radar systems, and we moved that. And then printing, we took them away from the hot metal stuff with the ink and all that garbage into phototypesetting, and that was going to be the death of the printing industry and all that sort of thing. So at the end of the day, it's a tool. And it depends how you use that tool. And in my view, you use the tool for the best advantage. And I was talking to somebody recently about AI. And I said, well, if you were going to dig the garden, would you use a spoon or a spade?
Exactly, you use the best tool that's available. You're not gonna make a job take twice as long if there's another.
So I said to him, I said, so if you're going to do a job and it's going to take you a week and you've got a tool over here that says I can do it for you in a day, which tool are you going to use?
Exactly, yeah, you use the best tool.
So I said, just think of it as a tool and use it as a tool. And I said to him, I said, if you think that there's now a vaccine for the coronavirus, which AI have developed, that could have taken man 2 years to do.
Yeah.
I said, so now in the Congo they've got Ebola. So we're feeding all the issues with Ebola and let AI come up with the answer. Why is that wrong? And how is that not progress and development? Because we're using a tool to do something that we can't do.
Yeah, people just see it as jobs being lost, but throughout history there's been all these changes. There's the Industrial Revolution and computers where jobs have been lost, but it frees up a job market for other industries. Like before the Industrial Revolution, there wasn't really a tourism industry or an entertainment industry because everyone was working farming the land. But then we have tractors now. How many people are farmers now? It's probably like a single figure percentage of the population. But back 200 years ago, basically everyone was farming the land, so it increases productivity and frees up a market.
Things change, yeah. And I've always been the type of person that would accept change and try and use whatever was coming out of it to my advantage, whatever way that would be. And I think if you accept change, and change is inevitable, whatever we say, change is inevitable. People are looking to do something different all the time. Then we accept change, we embrace it, we take it on board, and we run with it.
Yeah.
And if I can do that at my age, young people can do it surely.
Yeah, no, definitely. Why was entrepreneurship something that you gravitated towards? Was it just the circumstances, or?
I think my background, being brought up in a family that were business orientated across the piece, seeing the opportunities that created, and knowing from the examples of my father and his brother and cousins and people that if you've got the right mindset, you can do it.
Yeah.
You can do it. And I think having that positive mindset, that can-do attitude, was a really good thing that I grew up with.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you were in that environment. You say your dad maybe didn't take the most risks, but you were lucky just to have like a entrepreneurial father to begin with, kind of thing. So
yeah, I mean, he had a limit.
Yeah.
And everybody has limits. He and I's limits just didn't match.
Yeah, and maybe it goes back to that old lesson of don't do business with your family, because it's a bit of a dangerous game.
Well, it can be, but I mean, it was a sad state of affairs, and something that there might have been an alternative way, which I probably could have explored better. But I'd effectively got the deal, I'd got the money, everything was in place, and my dad just would not take that final step. So perhaps then, my stubbornness stepped in rather than empathy. But hey, we make decisions as we go through life,
definitely.
And we sometimes live to regret some of them, and others, have stood us in good stead. But
yeah, and every decision has led you to where you are in this current moment, kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, some have been good decisions. Some have been pretty poor decisions in the sense that they didn't generate what we expected them to generate. And some have cost me money, and on the touchscreen project, I mean, it nearly cost me my house.
Yeah.
But there again, it was the right product at the wrong time.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's all around us now. It's just
We were just a bit
the
too early.
The concept was there. It was
just a bit too early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, going back to that links to it, like, is there something that you got wrong when in business, like at the start, that you can
I think
learn
there's
from?
two things. Probably three things that I got wrong. I think my recruitment could have been better. I should have taken investment when I was pretty adamant I didn't want people interfering. And I think the third thing is that that can-do attitude sometimes gets you so far, but asking for help and support, I'm not good at.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big thing in business, like when do you hire? Because, yeah, it can help you grow, but then it's obviously going to cut into your, like, it's a big commitment and a big responsibility taking someone on, especially full time. Like, if you're, like, when it's your own thing, it doesn't really matter. Like, if you're not made what you wanted and stuff, then it's, you're the one that suffers. You've only got yourself to blame. But when you've agreed that this is someone's salary and that's payroll, and if you're struggling to meet that, then it's a tricky one.
I should have found, I could and possibly have and should have recruited some partners, people who were coming in at the right level with particular skills and talents that I didn't have. And I think because I've always done it myself, there's always that sort of, I can do that. I don't need you, I don't need that. And just because you can do it doesn't always mean you should do it.
Yeah. There's someone better at it.
Yeah.
You can't be good at everything.
No, you can be a jack of all trades and master of none if you're not careful.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Yeah, you just need to be
A bit more
find your
selective.
thing. Yeah, definitely. Because when you start to niche down, like be really good at something, that's when you can start to charge a premium, because you're getting above. Like, you want to be the best at something specific, but if you're average at everything, then you're just in the pool of people, or the other people that are average at the same skill set. So yeah.
But having far too many products was an issue.
Yeah.
Because I was always looking for that other opportunity, that other problem to solve.
Yeah, maybe focus on that thing. If you look at, like, maybe, I mean, Apple they sell a lot more products than they used to, but for such a big company, they don't sell many products at all.
No, they don't.
Yeah, maybe that model is.
I mean, they've probably got 3 products.
Well, main categories of products,
Yeah.
and then
I mean,
obviously
they've got the iPads, they've got the iPods and the iPhones.
Yeah.
And there's different models within that, but
Yeah.
that's
It's the same. They're each.
complementing
They have the same
each other.
volume. They have the same value. They solve a problem. Each is and then they all lead into each other, don't
Exactly.
they?
They all
So you do one
complement
job on
each
your
other,
phone,
yeah.
and if it's a bigger job for your phone, you go on your iPad. If it's too big for that, then you go on the iMac, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, did building the business cost you? What did it cost you personally? So did you have to sacrifice relationships?
Well, fine. Building the business, I was actually less available when I worked for in the corporate world. I mean, I worked for an American company for a number of years, and I was constantly travelling all around. I mean, my my area of operation was ostensibly Europe. So I was VP Technical in brackets Europe. That was my title.
Yeah.
And I used to live out of a suitcase, literally, and I could be anywhere. I could go into the office, and I was based just north of London at the time. I could go into the office this morning and get a fax from America or a phone call saying, we've got a problem in Denmark, I need you in Copenhagen this afternoon.
Yeah. So you were just travelling all over.
I lived out of a suitcase for years.
Yeah.
And that wasn't good, because I mean, I wasn't there when my daughter was born. I wasn't there when my son was born.
Oh God, yeah.
I went to work in America for a time, actually at the plant. And when I came back from there, my daughter was walking, and when I went, she wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah, and them things are worth more than any amount of money.
So that's some things like that. And I was on a plane crossing the Atlantic when my son was born, and things like that.
Mm. Oh yeah. Yeah, there's obviously, people see the success, but they don't see the cost of the success.
Now, there are things that, you think, well, you're putting your heart and soul into something, but something somewhere has to give, doesn't it?
Mm.
And I relied very heavily on my wife to manage these things, which she was more than capable of doing, but that's not the point, is it? The fact that a person can deliver that when there's two people that could share it, then...
Yeah. It's a hard balance, because obviously you've provided a good future for them and stuff like that, but no, I mean, you've done the right thing, kind of thing. You've not done anything wrong, but yeah, it's just like lessons to think about and look back on, kind of thing. You talk about business with people, like maybe family and stuff. I like your children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren now, are they in the business world, or are they more employees kind of mindset?
No, they're all those of a certain age. I mean, my son's employed. My daughter works for the council. My son-in-law, he works in a job. My two eldest grandchildren are both working, not in business. My next grandchild is at university. Then others are still at school. Nobody's in business.
Mm.
And it's interesting, actually, because both my daughter, my son, and my son-in-law worked in the business, but none of them want to be in business.
Mm. Maybe they've seen, I don't know, do you think there's a reason? Have they seen the costs, or you think they would have seen the value as well?
Yeah, I think it depends, doesn't it, what people's motivation is and what they see as the quality of life.
Mm. Yeah.
So what is quality to them may not be quality to you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like some people, I mean, obviously you can't just do it for the money, you want to do it for the passion as well, but I do like nice things, and like
well, that's the other thing. I mean, we've had a good life, and we've done pretty much what we wanted to do. We've had some fabulous holidays, and we spent money on a whole variety of different things. I mean, when the kids were quite small, we used to have a boat, and we used to go off sailing with the kids and all that sort of stuff. You can only do that, A, if you've got the money, and B, if you've got the time and wherewithal to do that. Whether that's part and parcel of what you would and should do in a given situation, it's a point of view, isn't it? You could argue one way or the other.
Yeah, and there's two correct, like there can be multiple correct answers to any situation, kind of thing. Like someone might have that point of view and you might have that point of view, and it doesn't mean that one of you is wrong. It's just a different, you're looking at it from a different platform, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, when my children were born, I mean, my wife didn't work until the children were at school, because she spent her time with the children, and we could afford to do that. Not everybody can afford to do that.
Yeah, that's a luxury that it afforded you, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
If you were starting from scratch today, maybe in my situation, I'm pretty much from scratch. What would you do?
Two things. Find the problem that you're going to solve and build a team to deliver it.
Yep. So when would you say is the right time to build a team? As soon as you can afford, really?
And when you've found the problem, identify what you need to put together to solve the problem, and then put teams against the jobs that need doing. Now, they don't have to be, they don't necessarily have to be part and parcel of your business, because you might identify a particular task, you know, the finance. Okay, we don't need an accountant in the business, but we might have a fractional FDO perhaps, or we might buy that service in. So look at it and try to build a team that's got complementary skills and talents that are prepared to be in it for the long term and prepared to take ownership.
Right. So you don't want them to be just...
You don't want them
to
be
be taking a month.
No.
You want them to have an incentive for the company to
and
do
if
well.
If I was to build a business now, a really good friend of mine's got a big business in Sheffield, and it's built on employee ownership. Every employee has shares in the business.
Yeah. Someone, I can't remember which book I read. One of the books I read, that was a big point he made. Like, you want your employees to be more than just employees.
Correct.
Yeah, to have value. Yeah.
So create what they call an employee-owned organisation.
Yeah, and you want even your employees to have an entrepreneurial mindset. Like they want growth as well, and looking for new problems to solve within rather than just...
Well, you'll find that when you grow that type of community, it attracts the right type of people.
Yeah.
Because the salary, you know, the $12.71 an hour person won't come to that organisation because that's not their mindset.
Yeah. Yeah, they just want to go to work, come back and shut off. They don't want to be thinking about...
I have a friend, and he worked for the same company from leaving school to retiring, and he did the same job.
Yeah.
Oh. But that's all he wanted to do.
Yeah. Well, if that's what makes some people happy, then... Yeah.
I mean, how he managed to do that, I've got no idea, but he did.
Did he not work his way up the company?
No, he was a welder.
Oh my God.
And he did welding.
He must have been a good welder by the end of it.
He did his apprenticeship, and then he did welding.
Yeah.
And that's what he did for 40 years, 50 years, whatever it was. And his pleasure was when he wasn't working.
Yeah. Well, he just enjoyed his time off doing this.
Enjoyed his time with the family, going off doing things. He loved his fishing and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, if he was happy, then ultimately
And
that's
interesting
the goal.
enough, I mean, his wife was a teacher, and she moved school a couple of times, but not many. Not many times. She worked. I think she worked in one school for 30 years.
Wow. I bet they lived in the same house and didn't decorate the whole house.
They live in the same house. When they first got married, they're still in the same house.
Yeah, with the same kitchen.
I guess. I have no idea.
Yeah. Well, if they're happy, then ultimately that's the...
But
what matters.
those will not build you a business.
No. Yeah.
The good, solid foundation,
Yeah.
which you might need some of,
Yeah.
but they won't build you a business.
They're not striving for more.
No.
Like my parents always say, it's a good thing, a bad thing, make of it. But you're always wanting the next thing. You're always, you can't just settle for what you've got. But no, I can't settle for what I've got. Like I do, like maybe it is a bad thing because I'm always maybe never truly content, but it might be a very valuable trait in the long run. So we'll see. Well, we've been talking for quite a while, so we'll get on to unless you've got any other things that you think anything we've not talked about that you think we should have. So my closing tradition is like the one thing. So the one thing that the listener should take away from this podcast and they should implement into their life, or just make sure that they remember the most important takeaway.
If they're in business, there is one adage that they should stick to: problem solving, problem seeking. Problem seeking, problem solving, friend for life. Find a problem solve it. Don't become another. You can be a plasterer, you can be a plumber, you can be an electrician. You might earn a living, but if you really genuinely want to grow and develop, find a problem and solve it that nobody else has solved. That'll set you apart.
That's great, yeah.
And if you're a family person, families do matter.
Yeah, definitely. There's so many people that have worked all their life and then get to an older age and realise they don't have any grandkids or anything, and it's like your career might have been the most important thing in your life at that point, but what's the most important thing in your life now?
Nobody going to the grave actually says, I wish I'd spent another hour on that computer.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just going to die with a massive pile of money. What does that matter? You've got no time left to spend it. So, yeah. Well, Owen, it's been great to have you on the podcast. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you.